Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the Week 2 Monday Night Football Showdown slate on Draftkings. We got the Packers and the Lions playing on Monday night. We got another showdown slate to cover. We got a ton of money up top. As always, guys, Draftkings continuing to run out big tournaments for these showdown slates. We got another Millie Maker for Monday night, so we're going to go through basically the entire player pool, talk about all the playable options, all the guys I do have interest in for this showdown slate. And as we do go through the player pool, towards the end of the video, we'll kind of talk through roster construction, how I'm looking to build out my lineups, how I feel like you should be correlating your lineups as well. We'll talk more about that at the end of the video. But before we get started with the breakdown, as always, I would appreciate it if you guys would click that like button down below. And if you are new to the channel here, make sure you do click that subscribe button as well. I am uploading a ton of NFL content on my channel right now. I'm trying to get up videos just about every single day, covering the Monday night showdown slates, the Thursday night showdown slates, covering the main slate as well. Normally, I'm uploading 4 or 5 videos a week. I'm live streaming as well on Monday nights, Thursday nights, Sunday mornings. I'll be live, Monday night covering this showdown slate with you guys. If you have any questions you ever need answered, always be sure to tune into the live streams because I can answer all of your questions there. But I appreciate you guys clicking on the video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's showdown slate. So we will start off at the top, kind of just go from top to bottom. We got Davante Adams as the most expensive player overall on this showdown slate. Davante Adams is clearly going to be someone we want to get into our lineups. I know that he did not do well in Week 1. I know basically the entire Packers offense did not do well in Week 1, but I'm not looking really into that at all. This is a great bounce back spot for them at home against the Lions. This is obviously a game that the Packers should win pretty easily. They're massive favorites right now. 11.5 point favorites are the Packers. 48.5 total in this game. Really like Davante Adams here. Hard not to like him against this, what I would say is a pretty bad Lions secondary. I know the Lions did just lose Jeff Okudah, who's one of their better secondary pieces, and getting him out for the season. I mean, this Lions secondary is probably going to be even worse now. So Davante Adams, a matchup-proof receiver in a matchup at home against the Lions. I mean, he has massive upside here. He's probably my favorite pay-up option overall on this slate. I think he will be a pretty popular captain option, but hard not to have interest in him in what is a definitely big bounce-back spot for Davante Adams. And then Aaron Rodgers obviously is a really good option as well. If I'm playing Davante Adams, I'm going to have interest in Aaron Rodgers. Especially in my lineups where I have Davante Adams at captain, I'm going to make sure to get Aaron Rodgers in those lineups, because if I'm assuming that Davante Adams has a big game, that probably means that he's catching 2 or 3 touchdowns, and if he does that, obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to be throwing him those touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers also had a bad game Week 1, but again, I'm not looking into that. I think we see the Packers win in a big way here. I think they're going to, just steamroll the Lions. I mean, this Lions team, they look decent Week 1, but they're not going to be a team to worry about. I mean, this is going to be a team that gets blown out a lot this season. Aaron Rodgers at home against a terrible Lions defense. Great spot for him. He's a clear top option on this showdown slate as well. I'm definitely going to be starting a lot of my lineups with Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Jones, I don't want to, completely write off, because Aaron Jones, good spot for him too. This Lions defense has been pretty bad overall, and especially their run defense. The run defense these past few years has not been good. I know the 49ers ran all over them in Week 1. I think Aaron Jones, he struggled in Week 1, was not very efficient at all, but that was a really tough matchup against the Saints. We can't really look too much into that. We know Aaron Jones should be a workhorse back this season, should be a guy that gets probably 15 to 20 touches on a weekly basis. He'll get some usage in the passing game. He should get the goal line work as well. I think he's a little bit riskier than Davante Adams. I feel like Davante Adams' floor is probably a bit higher than Aaron Jones. I think Davante Adams' probability of scoring a touchdown is also probably higher than Aaron Jones, but great matchup for Aaron Jones. Would not be surprised at all if he puts up a big game here. I think, I'm going to build my lineups, so in lineups where I'm stacking up Adams and Rodgers, I probably won't play Aaron Jones in those lineups, but maybe in some lineups where I don't have Davante Adams or Aaron Rodgers, then I'll definitely play Aaron Jones, because in the scenario where Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers both do not do well, it's probably because Aaron Jones is scoring all the touchdowns. And if that's the case, then I don't want to have quarterback, receiver, and a running back all in the same lineup. It seems pretty unlikely you see all 3 of those guys in the winning lineup. Plus, they're all 3 expensive enough to where I don't even think you'd be able to play them all 3 together. So that's kind of how I'm approaching those top guys. But then we get down to some of these Detroit pieces. We got Jared Goff at 10K. Normally, you guys know I like to play at least one of the 2 quarterbacks. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is the preferred option of mine. I would definitely prefer Aaron Rodgers over Jared Goff, but I do expect Jared Goff to have to throw the ball a ton here. They're big, road underdogs. Like I said, they're 11.5-point dogs here. You would expect Detroit to be playing from behind for most of this game. Jared Goff in that overtime game against San Fran last week threw the ball 57 times. They were playing catch up in that game. I know they got down pretty early. They kind of made a surprise comeback. I didn't think the Lions would come back last week to force that game to OT, but they did. Goff had to throw the ball 57 times. We could see another scenario tonight where the Packers get up early and Goff just has to throw 40, 45 times. So at 10K for that alone, I think makes him a viable option now. If I can choose one of the two quarterbacks, I much rather would play Aaron Rodgers. But Jared Goff is definitely in play for me. Normally, I'm going to always have interest in both quarterbacks on the showdown slates, or on these showdown slates, and that definitely is the case today. Jared Goff for sure in play. Just the safety, the floor that quarterbacks give you on showdown slates is always going to make them really good options. But then you have T.J. Hockenson at 9,600. T.J. Hockenson seems like he's going to be the number one kind of target for Jared Goff. I know it's only been 1 week, but he got 11 targets in week 1, 8 catches for 97 yards and a touchdown, had a really big game. He played a very large majority of the snaps as well. Played 78 total snaps, 85% of the snaps for T.J. Hockenson. So it seems like he's going to be a guy that is going to be on the field a ton for this Lions team. Again, if we expect Jared Goff to have to throw the ball a lot, if they're going to be playing catch up, T.J. Hockenson, it would not be surprising if he gets double-digit targets once again. So at 9,600, I'm for sure interested in T.J. Hockenson. Now, I don't know if he's going to be like a top option for me, but definitely in play for sure. Hard not to like him on a showdown slate, but you put these. I would definitely put the Packers guys ahead of these Lions guys. Like I'm going to prioritize getting Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers into my lineups over T.J. Hockenson and Jared Goff, but definitely Goff and Hockenson both in play for me. But then we get down to the Detroit running back. So you got DeAndre Swift at 8,400. You got Jamal Williams at 7,200. DeAndre Swift currently questionable for this game. I'm recording this video on Sunday night, so we'll have to keep an eye on his status for Monday's game. But it seems like he's going to play. I'm pretty sure he got a full practice in on Friday, so he should be good to go. Assuming he does play, he got massive usage in the passing game in Week 1. I think both him and Jamal Williams were heavily involved in the passing game Week 1. It seems like Detroit is going to involve both these guys a lot in the passing game, especially DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift did play a lot more snaps than Jamal Williams did. I have the snaps pulled up right here. DeAndre Swift played 63 snaps in Week 1. Jamal Williams only played 32. So that was 68% of the snaps for Swift and 35% for Jamal Williams. If I'm picking one of the two Detroit running backs, it's definitely going to be DeAndre Swift for me. I like the matchup against Green Bay. Green Bay was really bad against the run last season, and it's only been 1 week, but they did struggle a lot against the run in Week 1 against Alvin Kamara and the Saints. They allowed 171 rushing yards Week 1. So, yeah, DeAndre Swift, even if they get behind, he's going to be heavily involved in the passing game. He got 11 targets Week 1. Even if the game script is somewhat negative and they're playing from behind, he should still get a lot of usage in the passing game. I definitely have interest in DeAndre Swift. He is my preferred running back between him and Jamal Williams. Now, I don't think Jamal Williams is out of play, but I would definitely just rather go to DeAndre Swift. I think Swift is going to get more touches. I think he's going to be on the field more. It is a revenge game. If you want to factor that in, it is a revenge game for Jamal Williams. But between the two Detroit running backs, I think DeAndre Swift is the guy I do prefer. Williams still did get 17 touches, though. It seems like they're going to involve both Williams and Swift a good amount. But if I have to choose one, I'm prefer DeAndre Swift. Now, Robert Tonyan, 6,400. Don't think I can go there on this slate. I would say he's probably going to be someone I'm most likely avoid. Now, clearly, Robert Tonyan can catch a touchdown. He can catch multiple touchdowns. He can definitely do well. But there's other guys priced around him. I would definitely rather get up to DeAndre Swift if I can. I think I would rather save some salary, play some of these cheap Giants or these cheap Lions receivers that we're going to talk about in a second. So Tonyan, at his price tag, he's playable, but I don't think I'm going to go there personally on this slate. And then you got MVS at 5,600. MVS actually was pretty heavily involved in Week 1. I think he actually led the team in targets. He had 8 targets Week 1. He did play a pretty large majority of the snaps as well. A lot of the Packers receivers did get their snaps kind of cut in Week 1 because they were getting blown out by so much. A lot of the starters didn't even play in the fourth quarter. But MVS did play 36 snaps in Week 1, which is 63%, which I'm pretty sure was second highest on the team, I do believe. Devontae Adams played 70%, Allen Lazard played 68%, and then MVS played 63%. So I was actually third highest on the team, but he was targeted 8 times. He played 63% of the snaps. At 5,600, not a guy I feel great about. Like MVS is definitely he's kind of a touchdown or bust, especially like deep touchdown. Like you're going to need MVS to most likely catch a deep touchdown to get there because he just, he did get 8 targets last week, but I don't think he's going to consistently be a guy that gets that many targets in this offense. I probably won't be going there 5,600. I think he's expensive enough to where I don't have that much interest in him. I'd rather just play these cheaper Lions receivers that could easily outscore MVS. But he's at least playable on a showdown slate. But me personally, I don't think I'm going to be going to MVS on this slate. Then you got the Packers defense at 5K. Look, it's a really good spot for the Packers defense. The Lions, Jared Goff, he will turn the ball over. He'll take some sacks. The Packers are playing at home. If we expect Jared Goff to have to throw the ball a ton, obviously there's opportunity for the Packers their defense to get points from that. If a quarterback's having to throw the ball 45 times, there's plenty of opportunity for interceptions, for sacks, for forced fumbles, pick six, all that stuff. But at 5K, I'm not going to play the Packers defense. I tend to always just fade the defenses on showdown slates. Most of the time, you'll be fine just not playing the defenses because most of the time the defenses are going to score anywhere from like 2 to 8 points. If you fade the defenses, you just got to hope that there's no like defensive touchdown. I'm fine just not playing the Packers defense. Even though it is a good spot for them, I'm fine just not playing them and looking elsewhere. Looking to some of these receivers that at least have upside, I feel like. Like Allen Lazard at 4,800. Again, he played a few more snaps than Marquez Valdes-Scantling did. He played 68% of the snaps in week 1. Only was targeted 4 times, but 4,800. I think Lazard is definitely in play. I probably would prefer Lazard over MVS. I think Lazard actually might be a little bit lower owned, especially because people are going to see that MVS was targeted 8 times in week 1 compared to Lazard only getting targeted 4 times. Both these guys are viable between these two Packers receivers. If I'm not rostering Devonta Adams, I think Lazard would probably be the next Green Bay pass catcher that I look to. I prefer the Lions receivers over these Packers receivers, but yeah, Lazard is definitely playable at 4,800. But now is where we get to some of our value. So these Detroit receivers are all super, super cheap. You got Khalif Raymond at 4,400, who is also currently questionable for Monday's game. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. I assume Khalif Raymond plays. I don't think they didn't seem too worried. It doesn't seem like they didn't seem too worried about his status. It says he surprisingly appeared on the team's injury report Saturday with a reported thigh injury. So it looks like he wasn't on the injury report for most of the week, and then he kind of popped up on the injury report Saturday. I'm assuming Khalif Raymond plays. If he does, he might be the Lions' number 1 wide receiver heading into this game. Right now, Tyrell Williams has already been ruled out. Tyrell Williams did play in week 1. I think he played I can't remember exactly how long. I think he played half of the game before he got injured, or maybe he played into the third quarter. But Raymond did actually lead the Lions receivers in snaps in week 1. He played 75% of the snaps. He was only targeted 4 times, but he's probably going to be an every down receiver or close to it. This Lions, their pass catchers are just so, their pass catchers are so bad. Their number 1 receiver right now is Khalif Raymond. Next up is Quintus Cephas. They got Amon St. Brown. Some of these guys I've literally never heard of before. But all these guys are super cheap, and they're going to be on the field a ton. And we expect, or at least I do, I expect the Lions to have to throw the ball a ton because they're going to be playing from behind. So, if we're going to get every down receivers for 4,400, for 3,800, even Amon St. Brown is 2,400. I have interest in these Lions receivers, as gross as it sounds, just because I think they're going to be throwing the ball a ton, and these guys are all cheap. So Khalif Raymond at 4,400, assuming he plays, I think is a solid value. Quintus Cephas got targeted a decent amount in week 1, 6 targets. He didn't play a ton of snaps, but I don't want to look too much into that because I think he's going to benefit a lot with Tyrell Williams out. Tyrell Williams played 42% of the snaps week 1 before getting injured. Cephas only played 35%, but I think his snap percentage, just his playing time, is definitely going to see a boost tonight with Tyrell Williams out. But even though he only played 35% of the snaps, he was still targeted 6 times. So, whenever he was on the field, he was getting targeted. He did score a touchdown week 1, 3,800. He's probably the number 2 receiver for the Lions right now. We don't really know the depth chart order, but 3,800, Quintus Cephas, I think is a solid value play. Someone I'll definitely be looking to go to, so that way I can fit in those top-tier Packers, Aaron Rodgers, Devonta Adams, Aaron Jones. The way you're going to be able to roster those guys is to play some of these cheap Lions receivers. So Quintus Cephas at 3,800 probably is my favorite of the 3 between Raymond, Cephas, and St. Brown. I think Cephas is probably my favorite. But Amon St. Brown, 2,400, he played 64% of the snaps. He was targeted 4 times. He's going to probably see more playing time as well with Tyrell Williams out. So 2,400. It's very, very hard for him to kill your lineup at this price point. Like, even if he gets targeted 5 times, gets 2 catches for 30 yards, I mean, 5 DraftKings points, that's not great, but it's not going to kill your lineup at 2,400. Another really good value play, a guy that you can play for cheap so you can get in those top tier Packers that we want, these top 3 guys that we've mentioned already. So yeah, I really like these cheap I keep saying Giants, these cheap Lions receivers. All of them are very affordable, and most of these guys are going to be probably having to play 70+% of the snaps. We might see Raymond play 80-90% of the snaps. He was probably going to be like an every down receiver at this point. So Khalif Raymond, Quintez Cephus, Amon St. Brown, I think are all very, very solid values. The kickers, not too much analysis to give on the kickers. Usually they're fine to give you, anywhere from like 5 to 10 points. Kickers are always decent values. Rarely do I play both kickers. Rarely do you see both kickers be in the winning lineup. I definitely prefer these Lions receivers over the kickers. I think they just give you more upside, the receivers do. But if you want to play one of the 2 kickers for value, I'm fine with it. The rest, though, I don't see too much else I like down here. A.J. Dillon, he's going to back up Aaron Jones, probably get 5, 6, 7 touches. I mean, at 3K, there's obviously a possibility that Aaron Jones has to come out for rest and A.J. Dillon breaks off a long run or something. But I normally don't play backup running backs, especially, guys that only project to get 6 or 7 touches. I don't think I'm going to go to A.J. Dillon on this slate. No interest in the Lions defense. Randall Cobb at 2K. I mean, he only played 26% of the snaps in week 1. Hard to have a ton of interest in Randall Cobb. He's probably he's like the 4th string wide receiver for the Packers right now. At 2K, sure. I mean, if you want to go there, it's fine, but I'd rather just get up to St. Brown at 2,400, who's going to be on the field way more than Cobb is and probably will get way more targets as well. Like Darren Fells not going there. Benson played a decent amount of snaps, I think, week 1. Yeah, like Trinity Benson played 53% of the snaps. He might see increased playing time with Tyrell Williams out. He got 6 targets. Again, if you're looking for some value at 1K, I think Trinity Benson could be playable. I think the Lions are gonna just kind of rotate all these guys in. I don't know if there's gonna be any guy that plays every single snap. I think Khalif Raymond will probably play 80-85% of the snaps, but they're gonna mix all these guys in. I think they're probably gonna just rotate these receivers. I mean, week 1, Raymond played 75%. Trinity Benson St. Brown played 64, Benson played 53, Williams played 42% of the snaps before getting injured, and then Cephus played 35%. So yeah, it's probably just going to be, they're going to mix in those 4 guys at receiver. All of them are really cheap though, so I think, especially if you're playing multiple lineups, just kind of mix and match these cheap Lions receivers. All 4 that we just mentioned, Raymond, Cephus, St. Brown, and then Benson, I think are all very, very solid values, all super cheap as well. But that's probably it, though. I think Trinity Benson's probably where I would cut off my player pool. I don't think I'd be playing anyone else under Trinity Benson. So that does it for kind of the breakdown of the player pool, guys. Real quickly, before we do talk about roster construction for tonight, before we start, looking at some lineup builds, I do want to give a shout out to PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the sponsor of this video. If you guys have not checked out PrizePicks yet, make sure you do so. Use promo code NOAH when you sign up for PrizePicks. You will get a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. So if you do decide to deposit $100 on PrizePicks, use my promo code. They will match that. They will give you an additional $100 to play with. So that way you would have $200 that you can use if you want to make some picks for tonight's game. They're more of a player prop based site. So obviously they have passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards. They have everything, receptions, rushing touchdowns. You can do all that. They also have fantasy point projections for each player. And you can kind of pick whether you think a player goes over or under their fantasy point projection. One of the picks I definitely like right now, Quintez Cephus only projected for 7 fantasy points on PrizePicks, especially with PrizePicks being full PPR scoring. I think 7 fantasy points is probably too low of a projection for Quintez Cephus. If we expect him to play, 60-70% of the snaps, probably see 5-6 targets. He's definitely a guy. I think he's a guy that has a lot of speed. He could break off a long touchdown. 7 fantasy points probably too low of a projection for Cephus. So I do like his over on PrizePicks. Another over that I like is Jared Goff passing yards. Just because I think the Lions are going to have to throw the entire, especially in the second half. If they get down early, which is very likely, we might see Jared Goff have to throw the ball 45, 50 times in this game. So 252 passing yards just for the game script, the fact that I expect them to be playing from behind. I think Jared Goff goes over that number, so I like his over on passing yards as well. If you want to do these 2 picks, you can pair them together. I'm pretty sure you can pair quarterbacks and receivers now, if I do remember correctly. You could do a flex play. If you get both picks right, that would pay out 2x. Even if you only get one pick right, you would still get half of your money back. Or you could do a power play. This is a little bit riskier. It's kind of like a parlay. But if you hit both picks and you do a power play, that would pay out 3x. So you would triple up your money just for getting 2 picks right. It's as easy as that. But you could add some more picks for yourself. You can do up to 5 picks, I do believe. You can win up to 10x your money on Prize Picks. So check them out, guys. Link down below in the description. Or just make sure to use promo code NOAH when you do sign up for Prize Picks. So that way you do get that deposit bonus up to $100. But real quickly before we end the video, let's kind of talk about roster construction for tonight, how I'm kind of looking to build out my lineups. We already talked about it earlier. Davante Adams, I think, is a clear top option on this Showdown slate and someone I'm going to want in a large majority of my lineups, especially in the captain spot. I think Adams has plenty of upside to be the winning captain on the Showdown slate. And if I'm playing Davante Adams at captain, I'm going to want to pair him with Aaron Rodgers. If you're normally you want to play running backs and receivers at captain because normally they are the winning captains. Sometimes you'll see quarterbacks be the winning captain, but rarely do quarterbacks, have the upside to be the winning captains. It's normally running backs, receivers, or, even like TJ Hawkinson I could see using at the captain spot. But if you're playing a receiver at captain, whether that's Adams, whether that's Hawkinson, even Swift, you're going to want to pair the quarterback with them. Because if we're assuming that Davante Adams has a big game and he's the winning captain, that very likely means that, Aaron Rodgers is also having a big game as well. So make sure you correlate your lineups correctly, though. But when you do plug in Adams at captain with Aaron Rodgers, that leaves you 52.20 per player left, or 52.25 per player. So we don't have too much salary to work with. But we've talked about so many of these cheap Lions receivers that you can go to. We could still fit in like Jared Goff into this build if we did want to, and especially if we're going to be playing multiple Lions receivers. We're probably going to want to have Jared Goff in those lineups anyway. So, you got Raymond at 4,400, you got Cephas at 3,800, you got St. Brown at 2,400, you got Benson at 1K. All these guys I have interest in. I think Cephas is my favorite of the 4, so we'll plug him into this build. That leaves us 35.50 left per player for our last 2 spots. So if we wanted to, we could get in like MVS and Benson into this build if we wanted to go that route, or we could maybe do like Raymond and St. Brown. That's another kind of build you could do. So that's kind of how I'm approaching this Showdown slate. I'm going to jam in the top guys, Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, Aaron Jones. Definitely have a lot of Davante Adams at captain. I'll probably have some Aaron Jones at captain lineups, maybe even like some TJ Hawkinson lineups at captain. And then just to fit in those guys, I'm playing these cheap Lions receivers. Benson, St. Brown, Cephas. I like all these guys. Raymond as well. They're all super cheap. They're going to get targets. The Lions are going to have to throw the ball a ton. So that's kind of how I'm approaching this Showdown slate. That's kind of the way I'm looking to build out my lineups. You could pair, you could stack up one of these top guys at captain. If you want us to go like mid-range at captain, I don't know if there's any mid-range options that I love at captain. Probably like a DeAndre Swift I could maybe see using in the captain spot. I wouldn't mind going Swift at captain. If you do play Swift at captain, normally I don't play running backs and their quarterback together, but I think because Swift is going to be so involved in the passing game, it is fine to play Jared Goff with DeAndre Swift. And if we want to go get in our top 2 guys, Adams and Rodgers, pair them together, we could still make it work because, we got Benson down here for 1K we can plug in, and that leaves us enough to play like St. Brown or, that's probably about all we could do. But yeah, you could go with like St. Brown and Benson these last 2 spots, so that's another build that I kind of like. But really it's just going to be fitting in those studs and then playing these cheap Lions receivers to kind of make it work, just kind of mixing and matching these 4 Lions receivers that we've talked about. But yeah, guys, that does it for this breakdown of the Showdown slate. I appreciate you guys watching the video. I hope you did enjoy. Hopefully this video helped you a little bit. Hopefully it makes you a little bit more prepared for tonight's Showdown slate. If you did enjoy though, guys, hit that like button down below before you do get out of here. Hit that subscribe button as well. Also, be sure to comment down below. I always forget to say this, but make sure to comment down below. Let me know some of your favorite plays for the Showdown slate. Maybe let me know how your week 2 went, if you were able to profit. I sadly did not profit in week 2. Took a little bit of a loss, but hey, we're on to the Showdown slate. Try and make some money on Monday night. Hopefully, get back in the green for this day. But appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you in the next one. Good luck, guys. Peace.